if there's any question that Echoing Green picks people at the forefront of changing the world, we only need to remember that Diana Propera was looking for market-based solutions to environmental problems 18 years ago, long, long time before you had a green business section in the New York Times. So that's a remarkable story, I think, about what Echoing Green means. Echoing Green changed my life as well. I was a first-year law student, and I was attending an environmental law students conference in New Orleans. The keynote speaker was the head of a national environmental group who had just helped settle a case that essentially situated the largest hazardous waste cleanup facility in the country in a largely African-American town in Amel, Alabama. And as this national environmental leader spoke, the row behind me stood up, and it was church and civil rights leaders from across the South that had come to challenge this man about leaving people out of the equation. And I spent the rest of the weekend talking with these people and learning about their approach to the environment. They said to us at the time, we are very much committed to economic development, but we need a voice at the table. And I remembered that. I helped organize a conference for them the next year in DC. And I came out of law school hoping that I could do work in this field. I was just telling Cheryl, we were able to get a couple of shelves in the law school library for public interest information, and I found a folder about Echoing Green and was able to get the fellowship, which was very powerful. I was also just telling Cheryl, though I moved on to start the Urban Ecology Institute 5 years later and went on to the board at ACE, really Echoing Green gets a 2-for-1 deal out of it, because I'm still very much doing the same work. And it was the fact that I was launched in a social justice career that enabled me to take the networks and the ideas that I developed at ACE and start UEI, which is my program that I'm running now, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about it. At UEI, we're really dedicated to the idea that the city is part of the solution to the international environmental challenges that we face. Our theory of change is that social and environmental transformation go hand in hand. Cities, as I'm sure many of you know, are in many ways the most environmentally sound model that we have. The climate change footprint for urban residents is at least 40% lower than for other forms of living in this country. So building healthy, sustainable cities is a powerful international environmental movement as well. The idea for really connecting environmental work and social change more intentionally came from data that has begun to emerge in the last few years. Diana mentioned that the environmental justice field is really itself quite nascent. And the data about the powerful connections between social justice and environmental justice as a result are only really beginning to roll in. I told you a story about the ways in which our community partners have told us for years doing this work changes our community. We have a place to gather. We know each other. We are connected to each other. But there's now emerging research on how important that is. Urban green resources, there's a study in Baltimore that shows that tree cover is directly connected to increased social networks and people's desire to stay in their neighborhoods. And this is across neighborhoods with very similar socioeconomic profiles. So these are neighborhoods where you expect to see social instability, but environmental resources are a critical factor in turning the tables on that instability. A study out of Chicago, University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana shows that residents living near green spaces, again, in communities that are challenged by all sorts of the classic challenges in our urban neighborhoods, increased social activities, stronger feelings of belonging. Why does this matter? Well, again, research that's quite recent suggests that strong social networks may be the building block to improve public health and the building block for public safety in urban areas. Really the fundamental or a fundamental component of building healthy, livable cities. Another really exciting example for us of this work is a project that we've launched with the city. Some of you, or I'm guessing all of you who live in New York are aware of the 1 million trees that Mayor Bloomberg has announced. We worked in the same project with them to develop a goal for Boston, which is 100,000 trees. The mayor of Boston will tell you that on a per capita basis, that's actually more ambitious than I had to say it. So we have this project, and we've convinced the city to focus those plantings on areas where there's high crime, because we believe that if you do this work well and do it right, and integrate people in the design and implementation of this environmental transformation, that we can help transform and address critical social challenges as well.